Hi, my name is Rachel and I post content about knitting and crochet and crafting in general to this YouTube channel, and this is my monthly podcast where I kind of go over updates and also let you know how my stash bust is going. As you can see, it is still very much in progress. A lot of people start their crafting podcasts with like an acquisition section, but because of my stash busting journey, I actually am really trying to not buy yarn. I'm not technically on a no-buy, but I should know better. So no acquisitions for this month, which is a good thing in my, not like generally, I don't care what you do. I don't judge whatever someone wants to keep in their stash. But for me, I definitely don't need more. I actually have a full storage container here of nice hand-dyed stuff that I saw a moth in this room like a few days ago, and now I'm freaking out. This stuff should be fine. It was one moth. Let me not think about it too hard. Anyway, the good stuff is in here. It's protected. It should be fine. If I see another moth, then I'll go into like lockdown mode and start figuring out how I deal with that, I suppose. But I only have one whip to show you at the moment because a lot of my whips from my last episode are now completed. So I actually recently cast on this cardigan. I wrote it down here. It's the Anelli, and it's actually a free pattern. So if you wanted to go make this for yourself, it does got to, I think it's like extra small to 2XL. I am an extra large in the pattern. Well, hopefully. I did do a gauge swatch. Yay me. And the gauge was pretty good, like accurate. So I'm hoping I'm an extra large, but you know, we'll see once I put it on. I might hate it because that's my thing with like raglan or like circular yokes. I have quite meaty arms, and so when you like kind of encompass it in a circular yoke, it can just look like a lot. I don't know what looks flattering on me. What is flattering? Anyway, I might end up hating this, but in theory, I love the idea of this cardigan, and I needed to find a way to use up this discontinued Hobie yarn that I have. It's a really nice color. I think it's like a mustard. I can't remember what the name is now, but it's like a cotton, wool, and acrylic blend, and it's a like blown fiber yarn, I think is the term, which is where it's like a tube of cotton netting and acrylic and wool fibers are blown into that tube, and it holds onto it and creates this kind of fuzzy, muddled look. Because if you look at the yarn color, it's not a uniform mustard yellow. It's got little flecks of lighter yellow, some white, some greens, and it looks really, really gorgeous. Well, I mean, I think it does. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about the white collar now that I'm seeing it come together. It kind of gives me like Yellow Power Ranger, who was always my favorite Power Ranger growing up. Trini, fan for life. Or like maybe also like Bee and Puppy Cat vibes. Maybe. The reason for the contrast collar and like also all the ribbing will hopefully be this color is because I'm holding this Hobie yarn. What was it called? Zafira. I think they've brought out a yarn that is similar to it now, but they've discontinued this specific version of it. Anyway, also discontinued is this Modavira FOMO, which is like a polyester faux mohair. Hence the name.
I realize I didn't explain that the reason for the contrast ribbing is because I don't have enough of this discontinued mohair and I am trying to make do.
In this yellow, and I remember seeing this at Spotlight. It was on special, probably because it was getting discontinued, and I thought that the color worked really well with this, which I bought because it was a faulty batch, so it was like discounted. So I bought like 10 of these with no plan for them, and then I was like, well, maybe if I buy mohair, I'll have a plan. I mean, now I do, I suppose. So we'll see how this ends up looking. I'm really enjoying the process of knitting this. It was kind of intimidating because not only do you do the raglan increases and have to keep track of that because the pattern is like a 4-row repeat, but you also have to do shadow wrapped short rows. This was my first time ever doing that. I saw it in the pattern and went, like, what is that? Luckily I found a tutorial. I'll link it below if you are interested in this pattern or you're interested in learning what a shadow wrapped short row is. Maybe you already know and I sound like a complete beginner, but that's fine. I will link that tutorial below if you're in a similar position to me, and because I found it really comprehensive. But you had to keep track of the raglan increases while also doing the shadow wrapped short rows for a few rows, and that tested my noggin, but like in a really rewarding way. I've been doing some pretty simple projects recently, some pretty mindless knitting, which is like nice. It's very portable as well because I'm not having to like write down my progress. I don't use like a stitch counter, so I just kind of like will track things in my notes app or write it down physically. The physical notes have come to bite me when I like lose them, and then I go, oh, I don't know what I was doing with this. I might as well just leave it. But yeah, in general, I'm finding the techniques in here pretty challenging in a rewarding way, and it's right at that level of, it's very personal, right? Because everyone's at different skill levels, but when you find a pattern that you're like, oh, this is fun challenging, not like, ooh, this is not enjoyable, it makes such a difference to your experience knitting it. And I'm quite enjoying that pattern. Oh my god, maybe this will be my first like process knit instead of product knit, because at the moment I'm kind of like, will I even like this when I finish it? But the process I'm really enjoying. That's wild. Oh my god, I was literally saying in my last video how like I'm a product knitter through and through. Hey, crazier things have happened. One thing I did want to flag, if you guys choose to make this yourself, is the beginning of the pattern. Like, I've read through the whole thing, and for the most part, once you get past the yoke, it's pretty standard like cardigan fare. I don't think it's that crazy. But starting the yoke, I feel like it wasn't written super clearly. Maybe some stuff got lost in translation because I think it is originally, oh gosh, written in Dutch. I should have double checked this. The pattern is available in English, but I think it's translated, and it is a free pattern, so I can't complain. I'm having a good time with it. But what really helped me, if you can use Ravelry, is the product page from Civil Knit. If you go onto the page on Ravelry for the pattern, and I'll link that below, in the projects tab, you scroll down a bit, or maybe I'll just link to her project page. I'll figure it out. But she has notes on how she made hers that, like, while I was starting the yoke, I was like, this doesn't make sense. And I was second guessing myself, and I was like, am I misreading the pattern? Is the pattern wrong? Like, I feel like I don't really come across that often. But no, in her notes, she validated exactly what I was concerned about, and it made it was fine. It was fine in the end. And I have to thank Civil Knit specifically for her Ravelry project page, because it really helped me out. That's it for my whips this week, but I'm really excited to get to my FOs, my finished objects, because it has been a productive few weeks. I will preface that while all of these are blocked, not all the ends are sewn in yet, but I have a limited time to film this, and I can do that, like I can weave in the ends whenever. So I'm just going to show you what they look like now, because I'm not sure when I'll get a chance to sit down and chat like this. So the first thing I want to show you is this star-shaped tote bag that I've made. It's crochet, not knit. I made this with the Karen Skinny Cake yarn, and I think the colorway is burnt toffee. I found one cake of it in Spotlight like a year ago, and I immediately snapped it up because I'm like obsessed with these. Doesn't it just scream Halloween? I love Halloween colors. It makes me really sad. Like, I love living in the Southern Hemisphere for some reasons, but like not having autumn and Halloween happen at the same time is just, it's so upsetting. I can't express it. But anyway, gorgeous colors. The only sad thing is that I haven't been able to find this colorway anywhere else since I found that one skein in a physical store. I can't find it online. I can't find it in other countries. I think they've discontinued it. It makes me really sad, because as if this color wasn't selling well, you're going to tell me that like the spectrum of grays was selling more than this? I'm disappointed in us as a community. No, I'm kidding. I actually started this ages ago. I started it last year, probably this time last year, and I lost it in storage. Like I do with so much shit. I'm trying to downsize at the moment. I'm planning to move out in the next few weeks, and so I'm just trying to get organized and get my stuff together, and that is how I found this and decided to finish it, because the state it was at was that the stars had been blocked, the strap had been crocheted, one star had been attached to the strap to make like this. I just needed to attach the second star, and like I probably need to reblock it, because to be honest, my star making capabilities, like I wasn't counting stitches, I'm sorry. So some of the sides are shorter than the others. I kind of just had to like be really purposeful with how I matched up the second star to the strap. I just made sure like the point on here and the point on here matched the same row on the strap when I was crocheting the last one together, the last star onto it. So I probably will try to reblock this to give it a bit of a better shape, but this is a birthday gift from my friend, and I haven't given it to her. I didn't give it to her last year But now it's finished. So once I reblock it and sew in the ends, I'm gonna give this to her for her birthday this year with other stuff. I'm not gonna cop out on like actually getting her presents, but I'm really excited. I hope that she'll like this. To me, this screams her vibe. She's very witchy, Halloween-y, has really cool fashion sense. So I hope that she likes this. We'll find out. I'll let you know. Oh, before I forget, the pattern for this was actually a YouTube tutorial. I just searched up crochet star bag tutorial, and I'll link it below, the one that I used. It was very comprehensive. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I think I'd be happier if I had properly counted the rows so that the star looked a bit more even on both sides. But hey, it's organic, it's eclectic. The next thing I want to show you is my mum's sweater. So I don't think I've mentioned, but the pattern for this was actually from Bellish, the now defunct like customizing pattern, like knitting pattern app. It was a whole thing. A lot of people made sponsored videos about it, and that's how I found out about the app. It doesn't exist anymore, which makes me kind of sad, but I think a lot of people did not have a positive experience with it. So maybe that's why it shut down. But this is my contribution to the Bellish lore. I made this sweater. I let my mum customize every element of the sweater in the app, and then I said I would make it for her, and now 2 years later I have. But she chose like every boring option you could. She didn't even let me, like, she didn't even want a neckline. She wanted it to just be like left bare, but then I ended up doing an I-cord edge because like I can't be helped. Anyway, this is blocked and it's grown heaps. Like, it actually fits me now, and my mum is like half the size of me, so I think she'll like this. It'll be nice and oversized. It is cold enough for it, so it's like the perfect weather for her to be wearing it out and about. I just need to sew on the ends and give it to her, and I really hope that she likes it. I'm so excited for this one to be finished because, I don't know, I just felt kind of guilty that I went through the like rigmarole of getting her to like create it in the app, and then I just never gave it to her. So glad to be ticking this one off the list, and it's a biggie too. This is a lot of yarn that I used up. This next project was also something I showed in my previous podcast, Wrong Way. These are, I think that there's something frost socks. I will again add the details, link below, all of that. But they're these lacework socks with this like slip stitch heel, very pretty, very like dainty. Also a free pattern. Love me a free pattern. They were looking kind of janky like after I'd finished knitting them, but after blocking I think they look quite nice. Let me just hold one up so you can kind of like see the shape. Like, that's a sock if I ever did see one. So I'm pretty happy with the final product. I need to weave these in because I was also a bit worried about it not fitting, because I have had problems in the past where, well, I didn't gauge swatch this, so it's my own fault, but I also don't usually gauge swatch for socks, and I've made socks that were way too big. So I figured, sock stretch, this is super wash wool, let me go down a needle size and I'll just deal with it. So I didn't weave in the ends on this one on purpose because there was a chance that even after blocking, I was gonna have to undo it all. But thankfully, the risk paid off in this case, and they fit and they look really cute, and I cannot wait to style these with my docs. I'm just still breaking my docs in at the moment. They are still making my heels bleed, and could you imagine if after all the work I did on these socks, I got blood on the heel? I would freak out. So that outfit will be happening soon. I just need to make sure that my docs aren't out to get me. The last finished object I have to show you is my Sophie shawl. Oh my god, how exciting. Blocking it grew like 30% longer. It's actually pretty wild. I can't show the whole thing in frame, and I'm gonna mess up the mic doing this, but bear with me. Oh, it's so cute. I don't know if you could hear me through any of that. In my last video, I think I mentioned being worried about running out of this yarn. I ran out of the yarn. It was devastating. It was genuinely, I didn't know what to do because I considered like, well, do I just use white? But like, then it won't be symmetrical. And I'm not going to go back and undo the other corner. I just want this to be done with. Saying that out loud, I'm realizing that the avenue that I did actually take was not less laborious. So I don't know why I didn't just undo one side and then have them both have the tips just be white. Anyway, I can't go back to the past to change that now. What I ended up choosing to do was just dyeing my own rainbow yarn to like fade into the yarn. I kind of gave up on fading it properly, and you can really see on camera, I think, but if I'm just like a normal person walking around wearing this scarf, I don't think you're gonna say anything or notice anything, right? Whatever. I couldn't think of something that didn't require me to undo even more of the work I'd already done and looked all right, except for just like trying to kind of get away with a similar multicolored yarn to finish it. So yeah, I dyed this rainbow yarn, and it does not look anything like the Hanabi colorway from Big Little Yarn Co., which is just gorgeous. I'll show you a close-up. It's beautiful. The yarn I dyed does not look anything like it. It just looks like a generic kind of like rainbowy situation. Like here you can see like the difference. But I think it's good enough. Is it perfect? No. Good enough? Yes. And I'm finished. I'm finished with this. I can actually wear it, and it is cold enough, like I was saying, to start wearing jumpers and scarves. So I'm just excited to actually use this, for it to not be on needles and for it to like be a living, breathing part of my wardrobe. That was a weird way to phrase that, but anyway, this is also done. So that's 4 projects that I have finished since we last spoke, and I'm pretty bloody proud of that. I haven't weighed them yet, so okay, I've got my scale out, so I'm just gonna quickly do the math and come back to you. Oh my god, my scale has chosen now to run out of battery. I'm gonna try and flip the batteries around and see if that just gives me enough juice to do this, because I don't want to go looking for batteries right now. Oh my god, okay, I think it worked. Okay, I managed to weigh everything before it died on me a second time. So the socks come to a total of 55 grams, which I feel like is pretty average. The Sophie shawl came to 353 grams. The crochet star bag came to 201 grams, and the sweater came to a whopping 585 grams. That is a chunk of yarn. I'm really pleased with that. I'm gonna double check my math with a calculator after I finish filming this, because I feel like I can't be trusted, but that should come to a total of 1,194 grams of yarn. That is a kilo of yarn. Oh my god, is that right? Because last episode I was at 2,027 grams of yarn. So like over 2 kilos, and that is over half of my stash. But like that is not half of my stash. You know what it is? These were all projects that existed before I did my original yarn stash video, and so I didn't account these in my inventory, or not all of it at least. How do I do that math then? I think I'm just gonna have to do like an inventory check off camera and just double check the actual final figure I'm sitting at. Because if I were to minus that like 1 kilo from like the 2 kilos that I have currently listed as part of my stash, then it won't be an accurate, like half of my stash isn't gone, right? No, it's not. In hindsight, it is very silly that I did not think about the fact that these were languishing whips and would therefore not have been factored into this original stash. What I do know is that the yarn for the Sophie shawl, the socks, and for what I had, like, because I started the sweater, but I still had like 4 or 5 skeins of the yarn for that in my stash while this was languishing somewhere. So that would have been accounted for as well. I'm just going to say half of the sweater, just to keep things simplified. But that actually kind of brings me closer to about 698 grams used since we last spoke. And then doing the maths to take that away from my last total, which was 202.7 skeins, we're now at 132.9 100 gram skeins, which I think is probably a more accurate representation of what my stash currently looks like. Off camera, I'm gonna kind of take stock of what's in my yarn stash and just see how close that number actually is. I might have 132 100 gram skeins. That feels pretty close to what I feel like is in my stash, but we'll find out. I'll let you know probably next time we catch up what the figure actually was, and then proceed to give you the stash busting update. Apologies for the technical difficulties. I don't think ahead sometimes. This just happens. But in general, it's been a really pleasant few weeks knitting and crocheting. I feel like I'm in a really good groove and I'm really enjoying crafting. I've gotten back into sewing recently. I'd love to sew garments again, but I'm curvy. And if you're a sewer, you know that working with non-stretch fabrics is infinitely easier than working with stretch fabrics. But if you are a curvy girl, your choice is to get really good at darts and really good at like shaping and drafting and like customizing patterns. Make boxy clothing, which like I do like a boxy fit sometimes, or work with stretch fabric, which is the devil. Although I do have an overlocker now, so it's not so bad. Anyway, that's a tangent and I've been talking for a while, so I'm gonna head to bed. If you're still here, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope whatever you're working on, you made some progress and you're enjoying it, and hopefully I will catch you around here soon.